Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I want to talk about the use of our super mega good friends, the blocks, and why using blocks is definitely not bad. Hi, I'm Claire from Claire's Yoga, and I teach people how to get out of their minds and into their bodies. I see so many people in classes really reluctant to use our very good friends here. They struggle and push and kind of force themselves into postures which really is no good for themselves, their body, their brain, no one really. So today I want to show you why using blocks is not a bad thing at all, and it's no reflection on the level of yoga that you have. It's much more to do with your own unique anatomy and what you really need in that moment today. So, let's get to it, huh? Let's take kind of a classic pose, Trikonasana. Let's come to the mat, line ourselves up. Okay, so let's set ourselves up, not forgetting our block. Let's put our block off to the side of the mat because we don't need it just now. Take our feet hip distance and then just take a big step out. And that's probably the distance for your Trikonasana. We don't want it too wide, like in Warrior 2, but we want it wider than our hips. Let's turn our right leg, so our toes face the short edge of the mat, and our left foot faces forward. We can turn our toes very slightly inwards, and this just allows you to get a bit more pressure on the outer arch of that foot. From here, we now have a nice, firm, steady base. We take our arms up into a T-shaped position, and we want to think about pushing our hip backwards, allowing our torso to lengthen as we lean over, and imagining we're trying to reach something that's just a little bit too far for us to get. So we lean, lean, lean as far as we can go, and at that point, when we're in this position, that's when we bring our arms up. So one hand goes up to the sky and the other goes down to the earth. From here, this would be when we introduce our block, because so many students I see have a beautiful, nice base, have really managed to shift that right hip back, gently sticking that bottom out whilst keeping the length in the spine. They've leant all the way forward, and then this is what happens. They want to really reach to get down, and we lose the total integrity of the pose. They're trying to put their hands on the floor, reach their fingertips to the floor, their back becomes rounded, the hip starts to fall in, everything goes wrong. So let's take it back up and replace it with a block. We put the block next to our foot on the inside. We can have it on the lowest, middle, or highest. I'm going to start on the highest, just for you to see more easily. Let's take our arms out into our T again, gently pushing our hips back, really reaching forward, reaching. You really want to grab whatever's right in front of you. And then we tilt. Now we have the block where we can gently rest our hand on. From here, we want to think about rotating. It's getting this big opening across the chest, shooting this arm up to the sky. And one of my teachers, which I love, used to tell us, imagine you're in between two panes of glass, right? So you just want to think about lining up your whole body in between two panes of glass. And it's all about the length in this pose. So you're really feeling the length all across this left side body, as well as a little bit in the right. We're not collapsing down into the right. We're really trying to open up, spinning open the chest. Gaze can go up. If that feels a bit uncomfortable, I have a few students who have a bit too much neck tension, so you can just gently relax our head to face forward or even down to the ground. And we just take a few breaths here. And for so many of us, we might never be able to reach our hand to the floor in Trikonasana, and that's totally, totally okay. Using a block is not a problem at all. Why not try it on the other side? Because very often there's quite a big difference between sides. So let's line up our feet again, maybe gently rotating the right foot in slightly turning the left foot to face the top of the mat, getting our block in position, extending our arms out into the T, tilting our hip back, reaching forward, really thinking about the length all through the spine, lean, 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 and then letting our arm float down to that block, using it as a nice support, really thinking about that rotation in the chest, expansion, using our breath to create a little bit more space, breathing here, and again, just really noticing, is there a difference on this side? Does it feel a little bit tighter? Maybe you have a little bit more space. Maybe you've got a bit more rotation going on. Making sure not to over-rotate and push that hip too far out. Again, we want to imagine we're in between those two panes of glass. Nice big deep breaths here for me. And inhale, let's take it back up to standing. Voila. So moving on from triangle, one pose that has a fairly similar alignment. And again, a lot of people are very reluctant to use our lovely friends. It's very sad, isn't it? What's wrong with these blocks? This time, we're going to move the block from the inside of our foot to about a couple of hands in front of our foot. We'll take our arms up, out into a T. We'll gently lean ourselves forward. This time we want to bend into our front knee. So we get a nice big bend, allowing us to kind of spring off this back leg and gently push our hands down into the block. Now, imagine we didn't have the block here. I'm putting my hand onto the floor and I'm trying to spin my chest open. You can see my back leg is super bent, my chest isn't spinning open, I'm feeling very awkward, kind of hanging out here, there's no strength in anything, I'm gonna wobble and fall. Okay? This is an example of where our block can really improve this posture. We have our block a few feet in front of us or a few hands, depending which one you want to use. We push our hand down into our block. This allows us a whole extra amount of length to really push up into this arm, opening up this chest. I'm flexing my back foot, getting all the energy going. And with this, I can gently start to rotate my chest open to the sky, remembering how to breathe. Peeling it open. Maybe taking the gaze up, breathing here, and then I'm really feeling all the energy. I'm feeling the energy from my hand on the block shooting all the way through my chest up to the arm that's pointing up to the sky, and I'm feeling the energy from my standing leg pushing up into the ground, and then on a right angle kind of shooting that energy back into the leg that's behind me with the foot flexed. Okay, exhaling, releasing everything back down, trying to be as elegant as possible. Let's take it to the other side, seeing the difference. Whew, got a sweat on there holding that pose. So let's again line ourselves up in our Trikonasana stance, turning our left foot to face the front of the mat, taking our block out in front of us, inhaling, arms go out to a T, we're leaning over, making sure we get that length. This time we bend into that front knee, place our hand onto the block and spring off. You see I had to move the block there, it was a bit too close. Spring off our back leg, coming into our Ardha Chandrasana here. What's also really helpful is actually moving the block a little bit wider away from your foot. So it's not directly in front of your toes, it's a little bit off to the side. That just allows you a bit more space to really rotate and open the chest here. Ooh, I'm falling out. Let's try that again. That just allows you a bit more space to open the chest here. You can take a little soft bend into that standing leg if that's what you need today. Remembering to flex that back foot, really pushing down into that block, using that extra space that we've created. Breathing here. Maybe taking your gaze up. Oh, feeling wobbly on this side, huh? It's always so interesting noticing the difference between one side and the other. One more big deep breath here. Exhale, gently releasing everything down. Coming back up to standing. So there we have it. That's your Ardha Chandrasana, our half moon pose, with the benefit of using a block. Let's come down to the floor. I'll show you one. Another good pose to use a block is actually our pigeon pose. I'm not going to try and say this name in Sanskrit because it's very long and I'll probably say it wrong. I'm sure you guys know it as just our pigeon pose. So, again, on your social media channels, you may see people having their front leg at a perfect 90-degree angle. Whilst this looks beautiful, many of us will never be able to do that. And again, that's totally okay. So we want to make sure our knee is slightly out from our hip. We really want to flex that foot because that helps protect our knee joint. Trying to shuffle our foot up as close to the wrist, but don't worry if it's right down close to our body. Over time, that flexibility will come, but it doesn't have to be there right away. Now, from here, we want to think about our hips being level. And again, a lot of people really force their leg up, putting a lot of pressure on that knee, really putting a lot of tension into that hip, making their hips kind of unaligned because they're trying to reach forward so much, and they get into this kind of really uncomfortable twisted version of pigeon, which is just not going to be beneficial at all. So this is where our friend comes in. We put our little friend underneath the bottom. This allows us to really get level into the hips, sending our back leg out nice and long, lifting up the chest. And then from this position, we can gently walk our hands forward if that's you. Just relaxing down into the pose and breathing into that stretch, breathing into those sensations. Pigeon can be quite an intense pose, so it's okay if you feel a lot of things coming up here. The important thing is that we've got the really nice hip alignment and we're getting a deep stretch into that groin area, into those glutes. One big deep breath here for me, inhaling through the nose, filling up those lungs, feeling that breath rise up through the body, and exhaling, letting everything go. Super. Let's gently walk our hands back up to our body, slide that block out from underneath us, and bring our back leg in, coming into our seated position, and we'll just take it across to the other side. Again, it's really interesting just to test the difference in sides. Maybe one side you need a block and the other side you don't. That's totally okay. So many of us are asymmetrical. There's no worries. It's just how we're built. So let's bend the other leg at the front, send the back leg out nice and long behind us, just making sure that our toes aren't doing anything kind of a crazy croissant-y shape thing that they tend to do. Just taking a little nudge back and just making sure that they're in line. Getting our block ready to put on the other side, just underneath that hip, allowing us to really level up here. I definitely feel a lot more open on the other side. This side, look how far my toe or my foot is away from my wrist compared to the other side, but that's okay. This is what the pose needs to be for me today. Inhaling, just opening up that chest, feeling that length, and exhale, gently crawling our hands forwards, trying to get that length into the spine as much as possible, making sure we've got a nice big flex in the foot, protecting our knee joint, and just holding here again for some few moments. Connecting back to the breath. Noticing how it flows within you, how it rises and falls. Breathing into any of those tight sensations. We carry so much of our emotions in our hips, and all these kind of big hip opening poses like Pigeon can really start to unlock a lot of things within us. So it's so important that we just stay present, stay still, stay connected. Just breathe here. One more big deep breath for me. Inhaling, feeling everything up, feeling that expansion. And exhale, let everything go. Good job. Slowly bringing yourselves back up, walking those hands to the body, sliding out sliding out that block, putting it over to the side, swinging that leg around and coming into your seated position. So that's it for today. That's 3 poses that really change a lot when we use our little friends, the blocks here. Hopefully, by showing you how to use it in your Trikonasana, in your triangle pose, again in your Ardha Chandrasana, your half moon pose, and then finally in our Pigeon pose, you can really see the benefits of why using a block can really help you get into that alignment, open, lift and stretch your body so much more. Really getting much more benefits from all the poses, and why these are not your enemies, these are your friends. Use them as much as possible and do not feel guilty. Do not feel that you are doing the pose wrong, that you are weak, that you should not have to use them, because everyone's body is so different and these can really, really help us. So let's be kind, let's be friends with the blocks. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, please remember to hit the subscribe button and I'll see you again really soon. Thank you.